ready to go. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining us and for your patience those first few minutes getting everybody in here and settled. So this is such a special call because we have one of the smartest, most like warm and brilliant giving women on the planet. And that might seem like an over exaggeration, and I assure you that it's not. Silvia Mah is someone who I have known for years. She's been really involved in the entrepreneur community in San Diego, and I will let her tell a little bit more about her passions and what types of companies she invests in. Sash is a company that she's been involved with really from the very beginning. So there's been some times throughout the course of the business where we've needed factor financing or we've needed advice. I've gone through multiple boot camps and programs that Silvia has put on and that have really made Sash what it is today. So we're super grateful to have her here to talk to you, answer your questions. She is partners with Vidya. So you guys have met Vidya before, and they are partners in Ad Astra. And we made this announcement a couple webinars back that they are investing $25,000 into Sash, into WeFunder, among other things that they're supporting the company with. But in this particular campaign, they are coming in with some big support. And so, yeah, we just thought it would be great to have Silvia share a little bit about what has her getting involved, and then let you guys ask any questions that you have about investing. We realize that for a lot of our investors on WeFunder, a lot of you, this is your first time investing in this way. So you might be confused, excited, that you want to get involved, but then also going like, what am I actually doing? What am I getting involved in? So we want to answer all of those questions and whatever else comes up. So Silvia, I would love to kick it over to you and let you introduce yourself and say whatever you want people to know about you. And then the first question I'd love for you to answer is, what has you investing in Sash, or why do you want to share that this is a good investment for people to get involved in? So
thank
take
you,
it away.
Nicole. Yeah, thank you, Nicole. I've known you, of course, for so many years, and it's been so nice to be a part of your growth, right? This is about growth and scalability of your business, and it's just been nice to be able to be alongside the ride. And Nicole, actually, I'm an academic, so I'm going to go dive right in. Nicole talked about factoring. She's like, oh, she factored a couple things. Well, factoring means that an investor comes in and gives, let's say, a loan, but it's not really a loan, but it's money and funding in exchange for either a way of getting returns on either per unit cost, or with just as like a typical loan that you have a certain percentage of the total loan that you give back. So that's kind of what factoring is. Typically there's two kind of routes of it, and then I'll stop being an academic, is that you have a PO from, let's say, someplace like Nordstrom's, and a bank actually is your factorer. They said, okay, we'll take that PO, that purchase order from Nordstrom's, and we will pay it off to the manufacturer that you have, and then we will be able to gain that money back by the units sold by that manufacturing run of the business, like Sash. Or it could be private factoring. That's kind of where I come in, is that the person does the same sort of thing, says, okay, what is your manufacturing run? What's the purchase order, in so many words, of your customers that they want? I mean, everybody loves Sash, right? So the customers are like very excited. We know that they're going to be right there. You look through Nicole's wonderful financials and say, yeah, she actually can sell bags, and she's done it for so many years. Therefore, I'm going to get my return on my investment into the company. I will pay the factorer, the manufacturer, and then we work on terms afterwards. So I just want to kind of give that definition right off the bat. So thank you, Nicole, for allowing me to be alongside you for so many years. I am Dr. Silvia Mah, and I am a partner with Vidya. It's wonderful, at Astra Ventures. And I have been an investor since 2010. I only invest in female-led businesses and people of color because I think it's a better business decision. We'll take that offline. You can talk to me for hours on that. So women are usually more capital efficient. They really think about impact in their business, and I'm an impact investor myself. all of my portfolio companies align themselves to a UN Sustainable Development Goal, or SDG. And Nicole does that. So wonderfully aligned to that. But that is how I'm an impact investor. I have 50 plus companies in my portfolio. Only a month ago, I could say 45 plus. Now I can say 50 plus. I'm involved with all kinds of programs: Stella Labs, Ad Astra Ventures, Founders of Color Showcase, Next Wave Impact Fund, Portfolio, Pipeline Angels, 37 Angels, you name it. In the female angel investment world, I am involved. So the reason why is because that sourcing of wonderful innovations like Nicole's is what I strive for. I want to make sure that I get the best sourcing, and then also syndicate, meaning that I invest alongside my wonderful angel investors. And that kind of gets us to the WeFunder piece of it. WeFunder is a platform that democratizes the type of investment that's out there, that allows investors, accredited and non-accredited, we will define that later, on the same platform, so that they can invest in companies like Sash. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I am a recovering scientist. My PhD is in biochemistry and molecular biology. So I love science, I love math, and then I have my MBA in business strategy from Rady School of Management. So I really love that, that intersection between business and science and innovation. And yeah, mother of 3, proud of them. And that's it. Is that it, Nicole? Oh, and then
Oh my gosh.
invest in
Yes.
Sash.
That
So when you're thinking about, and I was going to define accredited versus non-accredited. So accredited investors, not that we have a certain kind of certification, no way. It's basically a way of saying you do have enough, let's say reserves, enough funding, enough financials in your net worth that you can invest in other companies. And there's about 7 things that the SEC, which is a regulation agency at the federal government, says, hey, you know what? There's 7 ways that you can be an accredited angel investor. And let's just check the box of what you are. So you have to be like, more than $1 million in net worth. You can make over $200,000 in between 2 people as a partnership. And then there's other things as well. If you are, working through somebody's what's it called, wealth, you can also be an accredited angel investor. So there's about 7 of them. They're all, if you look it up online, you can find them. So that makes it accredited. And the biggest thing is that those accredited angel investors know that they can actually walk away from an investment. They know that investments are very high risk in the angel round. Very high risk, but they say, okay, I'm able to take that risk because I have this amount of net worth. Therefore, I want to invest in this startup. And the startup says, aha, I am going to invest in this, receive this investment from this accredited angel investor. And they're not going to be knocking on my door all the time. They know the system, they know the process, they know they're going to get paid out when we go public or we sell out and have a merger and acquisition. A non-accredited angel investor is an investor who has money, who wants to invest in a startup. A startup can take funding from a non-accredited and accredited angel investors. However, let's say an angel group cannot kind of syndicate and invest together if not everybody is an accredited angel investor, because there's a amount of trust and reciprocity that needs to happen in that group so that everybody knows, yes, I understand the risk, I have enough wealth, I can be part of this group. So kind of giving you a little bit of a flavor of what that looks like, accredited and non-accredited angel investors. And why would I invest in Sash? So Nicole and Sash. So Nicole as a founder is one part of the equation of why this investment is super important and super worthwhile. The other part is obviously the company, right? So you have to think about these 2 aspects of it, is that the product market fit of the company and the product that she has, which is the Sash bag, is extraordinarily amazing. Then you have to think about the founder market fit, which means her as a founder and the market and the customers that she's going after. Those 2 pieces are kind of like the dynamic duo that makes an investment super amazing. And when you kind of have those 2 pieces of, let's say, an island, you're thinking about 5 other entities that make a good investment. There needs to be management. So of course, we talked about the founder. Nicole is amazing. She has been doing this for a very long time. She understands her customers. She understands the product. She actually sold the product and then got the manufacturers to be able to do the product. So she really understands what it means to make the bag, right? And she understands what it means to actually talk to the customer and give that customer wonderful customer feedback, satisfaction in buying the product. Secondly is momentum. Nicole has had amazing momentum in how she has been able to scale her business from doing it in her backyard. Actually, I did see one of the early stage sewing machines and how she was doing it. She's come a long way. That is a momentum. She's been on USA Today, correct? Yes, USA Today, long time ago. But also been able to have that momentum go forwards and be that leader in this product category. The model, the business model is amazing. As she has the bags, she sells them. She knows what the customer wants, what the price point is, how to make it a sale and get into the hands of her customers over and over and over again. That's a return customer is extraordinarily more valuable than that new customer, because that lifetime value, or LTV, is super long for that customer. And she knows those customers, as those customers love her. They're like a community of sisters. So they're like, I need about like 80 of them. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you do that, Nicole? And she's like, I just do it. She's natural at it. That business model is super important. Motivation. Nicole loves what she does, right? She loves what she does. She loves to empower other women to get that sash, to get off of your back, to help people actually have healthier lives by not having this really heavy purse, and then create a company that really makes a difference. And lastly is the market. There's women buying these things for themselves, for others, their aunties, their uncles, their not the uncles, but their aunties, their grandmothers, their mothers. And so those 5 pieces: management, momentum, model, motivation, and market. Nicole has it all. So I'll get off my soapbox. You have another question?
I love your soapbox.
Anybody in the chat?
Can I jump in? Because
Yeah.
I love Silvia's soapbox, but I wanted to jump in because, you know, Silvia kind of gave you a lot of information, and she's a very sophisticated investor. And you can tell because she's had, you know, she's invested in over 50 companies and talked to you about sort of all the complexity. I think what's so unique, and I'd love to get Silvia's take because she's pretty experienced in this WeFunder, but what she's taken and what WeFunder has done is taken the sophistication that you really need to have and from investing and knowing all these pieces, and made it available at the type of amounts that usually are very different. Like angel investments, you know, can range from anything from, you know, $5, $10, $25, $50,000. But this opportunity, I think, is so interesting and so unique and so connects to what Nicole wants to offer in terms of her community. So I wanted to go just for you, Silvia, to ask you just to talk a little bit about the WeFunder opportunity and how that changes the type of investment and how people maybe on the call should think about that.
Yeah, wonderful question. So WeFunder is a platform, as Vidya talked about, that really allows for investors, any investor, that's why I said accredited or non-accredited, right, to be able to invest into a company through equity. So before, if anybody's heard Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and Nicole did really good in Kickstarter twice, right? That's about gaining some sort of prize or product or t-shirt or something, right, in exchange for that investment into the company. That's Indiegogo, Kickstarter, that is crowdfunding, right? When you're looking at WeFunder, which is equity crowdfunding, it's kind of the same sort of thing. The crowd invests in Nicole, right? And they need to really realize, okay, what is it about Nicole that's very, very special, right? So that's why that campaign is super built out. So WeFunder thought, all investors are not created equal. However, how can we equalize the playing field to allow for each entrepreneur to have the same equal playing field in our platform? Oh, have a great profile, create a great video, understand what are the things that she does really good as a company. That's what they have been able to really kind of democratize, how that is shown to the world. And then they said, oh, well, investors, as Vidya said, typically invest 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, up to $50,000 in the angel rounds. Angel round means very early stage, like a seed stage. You have revenue, but you're still wanting to scale. That's kind of where that sweet spot is for WeFunder. And then they said, oh, those investors, they might not want to put in 50,000, right? Or they might want to, but it's very hard to do all of that. You have to know who you need to know. You need to have the right network. You need to know the right entrepreneurs. As I said, I kind of know a lot of people across the country from so many years. That takes a lot of work, right? So for an investor to democratize their access to the right entrepreneurs, that's what WeFunder is doing on the investor side. So really allowing investors and entrepreneurs to connect on a platform that allows you to invest very easily. You put in your information, you invest 1,000 up to whatever else you want to, and they take care of the rest, right? They take care of all the reporting and all that. And you do have a lead investor who needs to come alongside you. And Nicole had a great lead investor, Brian Smith. I think he was on the call before. Yeah, Brian Smith, and he's on the call right now, and he's probably had wonderful conversations with everybody. And that person kind of helps the entrepreneur go forwards. Now, what I've seen with WeFunder, I have 3 active campaigns going on right now in WeFunder. We have Nicole and 2 other female entrepreneurs. And what I see is that Nicole is very specially suited for WeFunder. Why? Because she has a community of awesome people. You're here on the line right now, right? Of saying, hey, I love what Nicole's doing. I love what Sash is doing. I know that they're doing a really great job. I know the product sells. I want in. I want to be an investor. I want some equity in that company because I know it's going to scale. That's the power of WeFunder, and that's the power of Sash being on WeFunder. And then layer on top of it that she knows how to run a crowdfunding campaign. Boom. Like, well, that's amazing, right? She's done Kickstarter twice, incredibly successful. So that's when we were thinking about at Astor, our advisory kind of thought processes between Vidya, Alice, and my other partner at Astor Ventures and ourselves. I'm like, this is a perfect platform for Nicole, right? Because we can get those investors that have been like watching her all the way along the way as a consumer product goods, like the traditional investors. But man, she also has this community of just ralliers, right? Who come alongside her at every chance that they can get alongside her through the WeFunder platform. So I kind of gave you a little bit of the science behind WeFunder, how it works, and they're very dedicated to the entrepreneur. I wanted to add this is that I'm one of their biggest, advocates because I've seen other platforms of equity crowdfunding. I have evaluated them, and I have said to them, I will dedicate a certain amount of hours per week and of course per year that will help them connect female entrepreneurs and female investors. And it's been a really great ride so far, making sure that we're really connecting people. And they're very passionate about making it very accessible for the entrepreneurs. They don't put it like an upfront fee that other platforms do. So very entrepreneurial friendly, very much investor friendly of saying, hey, let's get those investors together. So WeFunder is a great platform. And the science, that's the science part. And the art side of it is this equity piece, right? Is access to entrepreneurs and access to investors that you could not have, in a traditional setting. So hopefully that answered your question, Vidya.
Perfect. Thank you, Sylvia. Turn it back to Nicole. Actually, to everyone,
yeah,
right?
To everybody.
Open Q&A, yeah.
Absolutely. I would love to know if anyone else has a question for Sylvia, because I definitely do if nobody else does. But Liz, Brian, Anne Marie, Betsy, Laurel, anybody have anything you want to ask Sylvia about Sash, about WeFunder, about anything?
Well, this is Liz. Hi.
Hi, Liz.
And hi. And thanks so much, Sylvia, for all of that. That was a lot. And it was all really great information. And what I found that people are asking is, what does it mean to invest for equity?
Okay. What does it mean to invest in equity? There's a couple of different answers that I can kind of come up with. Is that equity means that you're buying a bit of the Sash business, right? You're coming alongside her and being involved, right? And that means that when she does good, you do good, right? In the sense of as she grows, as she scales, as she looks for partnerships and stuff like that, you will be on the inside scoop. So you'll be kind of a walking alongside her. Now it's a little bit different than, like, say, I don't want you to think that, oh, okay, you're going to be able to advise her and be on a board of directors. That is not what, let's say, WeFunder and an investment like this means. However, what's interesting and what's really great is that you don't have to be, because you're going to have that lead investor and a group of investors that can kind of get together and ask critical questions of maybe Nicole and give her advice and give her, great pieces of, let's say, what you feel like is important to her to go forwards. You can have those conversations amongst the group of investors, and then she will always be contacting you on a quarterly basis through the WeFunder platform. So you're not going to be left like hanging saying, well, I just invested in, like, where is she? No way. WeFunder is that kind of platform that allows that entrepreneur and investor communication to happen. So hopefully that answered a little bit of that investor relations piece. And then of course the piece of, you are going to be owning part of Sash.
Yeah, thank you, Silvia. And I would love to hear from you. So some of the questions that we get from people are like, well, when do I get my money back? And how does this work? And I'm investing it, and what's my return? And are you, like, just those kind of logistical, how does this work kind of side of it. And I would love, in addition to like answering that question, also hearing your experiences in how those returns go. So like, what are some companies that you've invested in that, what was the experience? Did they sell the company? Did they go public? Like, wonderful. What are some of those experiences that you've had? And then we'll get to Anne-Marie's question.
Yeah, thanks, Anne-Marie, for your question, and I will get to that. And maybe I answer it while I'm speaking right now, and just let me know afterwards if I did or not. So the question is, how does this like return work? Usually investors invest, of course, at an early stage like Nicole's. And people always say, really, Nicole's early stage? Yes, right. It's not, she has been around for a while, but it's not that it's like this, huge business that, is multi-billion dollar. That's like later stage, right? We want to get there, right? But I think that that's a little bit of a misconception sometimes of some investors. Secondly is how are you going to get your return? It's not like you're going to get a piece of every unit that she sells of a Sash bag. It's more when an event like a merger and acquisition, and I will define that, or let's say an IPO public offering happens, or and the merger and acquisition can be like a buyout. Let's say a bigger company buying Sash bag, you would be part of that purchase, right? You would own part of that purchase. So that is when you're going to get the return back to you. So it's not like a yearly thing that you're going to be getting money back. You get it back when that event happens. And that's really important. That's why I kind of talk a lot whenever I'm teaching angels, new angels, is that it's about the long haul, right? You're investing in the long haul of this founder and this product that's scaling and doing great work, but you're only going to get that investment back until they kind of grow. However, there's certain pieces of this process that you're going to know, oh, she's doing good. She's converting to another kind of stage, converting to another stage. And the reason why I use convert is because that's typically what we talk about in the investment world, is that if you're in a seed stage and you get in on a deal at the early stage, you can convert to the next round of equity, right? So let's say, for example, a tech company that raises a certain amount of money in their seed round, which is early stage, and they convert to Series A, which is typically that next round. I'm giving you like a whole, too many words, but seed, Series A, and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? For life sciences that need a lot of funding. When you convert, you do convert to, let's say, more equity, more stock. It could be common or preferred. So there's a lot of like nuances here. That's why the platform WeFunder is great, because you put money in, right? And they communicate with you and the investor and the entrepreneur back and forth. And only when that event happens, do you actually get that money back. You don't have to worry about all of these conversions and stuff like that. They will take care of it. And that's why there's fees and stuff like that associated with WeFunder. And I think the question that how do those of us who are making investments that are much smaller than those mentioned by Silvia fit in? Of course you fit in, right? Every dollar means so much to Nicole, right? And her team. And that's part of buying into this company. It's not like, oh, when you reach a certain amount, you buy in and you're an investor. No, you're an investor the minute that you write that check and send it in. And that's the beauty of investing. You can feel like you're part of her journey, right? Part of her success and part of her scale. So I want to kind of, I'm always about like a little bit of science, a little bit of the art. And that's the art, is that you're going to be part of it. And every dollar is assigned to a percentage of this round that she's doing, this campaign that she's doing on WeFunder. You have a piece of that total. And that's a simple science, whatever means, simple math problem of how much do you put in, how much of the pie do you have, and how much does the pie of WeFunder get from Sash as an investment. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, Silvia. You definitely hit on the points that I would have made on that question as well, which is it matters so much, like every investor, every dollar, because it's not even just about the dollars, it's also about the momentum in the community and sharing, and we know that y'all who are investing are going to tell everyone to buy a Sash bag. So I see a question from Betsy, and I see Laurel is raising her hand. So Laurel, we'll answer Betsy's question and then go ahead and just take yourself off mute after that, and you can ask your question.
And I want to just add something that Nicole just said, very like woohoo, whatever, but it's very, very important. I always say to investors and entrepreneurs that, a check is a check, you get some money, but trust is the most valuable currency of any investor. And that trust comes with a network from that investor and advice and, connections. And if Nicole needs something, hey, put your hands up and say, hey, I'm an investor. I know somebody who could help you, right? That's the power of this network. And then all of us trusting each other as investors to help Nicole along. So I just wanted to kind of add that. The question is from Betsy first, Nicole.
Yeah, so she's asking if people can add onto the investment later. And I mean, answer this.
That's more of a question to you, because that means multiple rounds. And
yes, I'll go ahead and take that one. So this current round is going to be open until we're going to keep it open for probably another 30 to 60 days from now, and then we're going to close it. And at that point in time, this round will be closed. This valuation, this opportunity to invest, at the current offer will be done. And then there's a possibility in the future that we may do another round of investing. At that point in time, then you could invest a second time, but it would be a new offer. So this current offer is limited for this one round. And now, then Laurel,
can I add something to that too?
Yeah, please.
That, if you know Nicole, you're probably on her email or you're on Facebook and all that, but being part of an investor pool at WeFunder, and I've said this a couple of times, you will be the first to know, let's say, if she's going to be raising a round, like first to know, meaning in that clump of people that are investors. Entrepreneurs typically send out investor quarterly reports. WeFunder requires it. And so you will be in communication if there is a new round. So that's one of the really great positives to come in now, to get involved so that you can be in the know, right? In the knowing group of people about her investment opportunities. Vidya, you got off mute, so you can.
I put off mute because I wanted just to, and this may be obvious, but you can, if you've invested already and maybe it was a smaller amount, you can add to that investment at any time until this WeFunder round closes. So you can keep adding right up to the point in that 30 or 60 day mark when then you can't add it anymore. So that's it, because we don't know what the future events might be like. So I just want to also point out, this is actually a really unique opportunity, and it is only open for a small amount of time. And after that, there isn't going to be an obvious opportunity or a timeline. So maybe that was clear, but I just wanted to state it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya. Yes, Laurel, take it away.
Okay.
I was wondering, so if I don't invest, or I have some stock that my grandmother gave me for my bat mitzvah, so, and it's one stock. So I don't really have a lot of investments. I'm an artist. I live in downtown LA. I make big, messy paintings. And yet every time I have put money into a bank or into Schwab or whatever, I always have to put down who is the person who is, like, if I'm deceased or whatever, who am I leaving, or whom am I leaving the investment to? Is there a mechanism in this setup where we're supposed to put in beneficiaries as well? Because I think I missed that. And if something, God forbid, would happen to me, I don't intend for something to happen, but you never know. How would a family member find out? What is a mechanism for that?
That's a question, right? I have never been asked that, so that's why I'm sorry that I don't have an answer right off the bat.
Probably why I don't invest very much, because maybe I'm a little too scared to do shit like this. But anyway, I love Sash. So
I mean, I can just jump in. I mean, you're going to get issued a note, and it's going to be it's a document which you can file with the rest of your papers, and in your will you can say who that gets passed on to. So why you might not see it, because it's not an institution like a Schwab or something like that. They are still owned by you, and you can control through outside mechanisms what you want to, where that goes. So it's pretty simple. It doesn't have to be inside the document, but you will get a legal document saying that you have whatever you invested, the amount will be legal. Hopefully that helps.
So I need to make a will.
That would probably be a good idea.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
But as simple,
Laurel,
as
and I
simple
want to
as-
see.
I think as simple as just having your documents together. Sorry, Nicole. Just having documents together. I think Vidya brings up a really good point, that it is a document that you're going to get. You can pass it on to whoever. And then also just for other people here, I know that this is something really important for some people who already have set up certain aspects of legacy building and wealth buildment. You can also do DAF, so donor advised funds. I just want to make sure whoever's on the line, if you know that you do have something like that, you can invest through that. So sometimes a 401k has that. So just kind of like there's other ways that you can activate capital that you might have, like kind of on the side, and just talk to us, ask Nicole. And it's not like in our wheelhouse, but I just wanted to kind of put it out there because there was a couple of people that might have that. So Nicole, you were saying something, sorry.
I was just saying I want Laurel to share her art with us. So if you're in our VIP group, share your art.
Yeah, I want to see it too. I want to see her big messy paintings. I was just thinking exactly the same
that
thing.
Sounds so fun. I want to come paint with you. Okay, so a couple more questions. So Chris is wondering if we can share why there are certain provinces in Canada that don't allow investment. And I don't know if anybody else has a better answer than, like, it's just their government and doesn't allow it. So ours used to not allow it until it was like 2016, right? And then they started to allow it, and then it's even like changed throughout the years. And they just had a big, on March 15th of this year, they had another, I don't even know what the word is, but the regulations changed again and got a little bit more liberal in terms of like how much money you can raise and who can invest. So it's still a newer concept, and not all governments have gotten on board. And actually, really, it's just those 3 provinces in Canada that haven't, because everywhere else in the world you can. And I've not been able to track down a good reason why. So I don't know why. And I'm so sorry. Is that Chris Burrows asking that question? And then Ashley's asking, can I sell my investment in the future? Yes, it's me, Chris's. Hi, Chris Burrows. Yeah. Can I sell my investment in the future? Will my equity be bought out if Sash sells? So can one of you take the first question, part of that question? Can you sell your investment in the future?
I mean, I don't know what the document says in the note. Do you know, Vidya, if any of that
Well, you can't.
can't?
You can't sell it as a way. It doesn't work like a stock. So I think I'm interpreting it to be, is it like a stock? Is there a market? Can I buy and sell? And the answer to that is no, you can't. Now, whether you want to legally find someone else to sell that to, that I think you'd have to consult a lawyer, or we could try and figure out in WeFunder how that works. But between Sash and WeFunder, you own your investment until Sash has an event that Silvia talked about. So an event just means if a company buys her out completely, or she decides to create a whole new line and goes in and gets a big investor to invest a ton of money. And so they buy out all our stock because they want to now control the future. So things like that will change the nature of our ownership. But until that happens, we're just holding on to the stock. Hopefully that was
and then the second part of that question, will your equity be bought out if Sash sells? I mean, that's basically what happens when that event occurs that Vidya was just mentioning. Is yes, you're going to get the return on your investment, which is basically your equity being bought either by a new company or an investor or something.
Yeah.
And then the next question is there an advantage to investing more in the first round?
Yes. The next round will be at a higher valuation, meaning that, to buy into the same amount will cost you more. Right. So because she is, Nicole is meeting her milestones of scale, meeting her milestones of getting more revenue in, as companies raise the revenue, that they gain more revenue, they get more scale, they get more POs, gain more global presence, that valuation of their company naturally increases. So that next round, if you don't get in now, will be at a higher valuation. Hands down.
Thanks, Vidya. I mean, it's Silvia. Sorry. And then the next question is, how are investors in this initial round protected from dilution if Sash opts to seek additional funding in future rounds? And I can answer that question if you need a breather.
Yeah, go ahead. Answer it based on like your document. Sorry, part.
Yeah, so this is non-dilutable, right? Is that the right word? The instrument that we're using is the SAFE instrument, which is getting you shares of preferred stock in the company. You do not get those shares until the event happens. But from my understanding, Vidya, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no dilution of this stock, correct?
Well, so Silvia, you can jump in too, but anytime So here's the thing. If we get another big investment, chances are that we'll be selling what we have, because the new company coming in to purchase will be just taking it. The only time dilution occurs is if we end up in a situation where it's valued less, right? For example. Because if you think about it, if we've got a certain amount of stock and the company is now worth twice as much because we're trying to get more money, you're in a great position. We've got preferred stock as part of this type of note, and that gives you certain privileges to protect you. So dilution only tends to happen when you might get undervalued. I just don't see that occurring. And Silvia, I'm trying to think about another situation.
There's also the dilution, let's say fear of dilution. I'm going to go that route, because there's always a little bit of dilution when you're going from one route to another, one round to another round to another round. There's a little bit, right? That's why there's incentivization of preferred stock versus common stock in this round. But the fear of this dilution really plays in when you're talking about companies like life science companies that have like 6 rounds of financing and you're at the very early stage and you know that it's just going to get, you are going to get diluted along the way because there's so many rounds of financing. Typically in consumer product goods companies like Nicole's, there's not a lot of dilution because there's not all those rounds that need to be occurring before this event happens. So hopefully that helps you a little bit of this piece of what is dilution, right? Because I can't in good conscience say it's completely non-dilutive, right? Because something might happen, you know, there's just like 1,001 things. My answer to every single, let's say, investment question on any panel that I do, usually I'm like speaking like 1 or 2 times a week. And I feel really bad having the same answer, is that it depends. Right? Because there's 1,001 ways that investments go or decisions are made or businesses are scaled, that it just depends, right? So hopefully that answers your question. Eunice.
Thank you. That was better than my answer. I was like,
That's
I
what
don't
we're
think
here for you. That's why you need to lean on your investors.
Yeah. Okay. So those were all the questions that I saw. Did I miss anything, or does anybody have another question for our brilliant Dr. Silvia Mah? Yes, Betsy.
Yes, Betsy.
You're on mute, Betsy. We can't hear you.
Unmute.
Yeah, now.
There you go.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Back to my first question about being able to add more money in this round. Does it have to be in the same increments that we were presented with the first time, or, and if a person wanted to add more money, how do they go about doing it?
Yeah, so let me ask a question back to you. Are you asking a little bit more about like the WeFunder campaign or past the WeFunder campaign?
The WeFunder campaign,
Okay.
where we are right now.
Perfect. I just want to make sure that I understood
Thank
it.
you.
So in the
Thanks.
WeFunder campaign, you can double down, you can reinvest, you can put more money in at any time throughout the campaign to get the valuation that Nicole has on the campaign. So you can do it in any increments that you want. We were just saying that the increments that typically investors go after is this 5, 10, 25, and then you can go as small as $1,000 on WeFunder as well. So, and then also it helps when just as an aspect of an investor, you become an advocate for Nicole, right? When you become an investor, because I mean, she's awesome, first of all, but secondly, as an investor, you do become that advocate. So maybe you put in a little bit at the very beginning of the campaign, and then you ask some friends to come alongside, you know, share them the link that we're doing today. They might come in, and then you might want to bring in something, you know, bring in a little bit more at the very end of the campaign or in the middle to help her gain that buzz, right? So you're acting as a really awesome advocate and investor for her to be able to put in a little bit more. So hopefully that answered your question of yes.
And I just want to add on
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
Sylvia's point where they are structured amounts. So it's not like, I mean, if you put in $100, you can't put in 105, right? I mean, they are sort of specific, and she has structured the benefits along that. So you would have to add on those increments unless she's got something planned in the works that Sylvia and I are not aware of. It is structured, and that campaign is set.
Yeah, but you can invest other amounts. The amounts that we put in there for the incentives are set. But there was one person that invested like $308. I was like, oh, that's random. So if you look at our campaign, you'll see that it ends in an 8, because some, you know, so it doesn't have to be the exact amount. Like you could be like, I'm going to invest $1,342, and you can do that if you want to, if you have a number that's special to you. And Anne-Marie, yeah, thanks for catching that. The minimum is $100, not $1,000. So yes. And then Ashley, so you are asking when if you'll know when it's closing, so you know you can get that additional investment in. I'm glad that we addressed that, because yes, you can invest more, and tell everybody you know. And I would have to mention that like every 5 minutes. And yeah, so you will know, because I'm sure that WeFunder will tell you.
Yes.
I've seen them do that. Yeah, but I also will. So I'll make sure everybody knows. I'm going to, you know, do a countdown like, hey, it's closing in 2 weeks, it's closing in 10 days, closing in 3 days. I'm going to drive everybody crazy because you know what's going to happen is it's going to close, and the next day I'm going to get a bunch of emails like, oh, I didn't know. So we're going to probably be a little bit annoying when it gets closer to the time to close this round. And we will also rely on, you know, all of you to help spread the word and make sure that everybody knows. Because typically, you know, these campaigns, from what I learned getting to know the people who run WeFunder, is it's very similar to Kickstarter, right? Where you launch the campaign and there's all this excitement and people are jumping in, and then there's like this lag. That's the fun period we're in right now, where there's that lag of time where it's not, you know, as exciting, but people know I'll get to it later, right? So then the last 2 weeks is when everybody goes whoosh inside. So that's one of the things that has us not want to like wait too long to close it. But we also do want to make sure that everybody knows, because this is not like a Kickstarter where if you missed it, you know, email us, maybe we can add a little order in for you. That is not an option here. So we do want to make sure that everybody knows about it. Once this is done, it's done. We may or may not have another round. I would love to not have another round. Well, I don't know. I don't really care, but like based on, you know, our plan, I would love to just like, you know, raise it all now, put that money to use and grow as fast as we can and move on to the, you know, what's next for Sash. So we'll see how it goes, but this is possibly your only opportunity to invest. So
I just want to, I want to double down on what Nicole said, because I'm going to push her to try and close sooner rather than like months, because we've got a lot we want to do. We've already raised a really nice amount of money that allows, you know, everything to start flowing again, the way that Nicole's talked about in terms of manufacturing. But there's a really big opportunity here, which is why, and this is a really unique opportunity to own a piece of Sash. So if we can get money now and at the level that really allows us to move faster, if you tell your friends and if you bring people in, it just allows the company to move more quickly. So that's kind of what you're funding. You're funding to get a piece of the company, but you're also funding the strategy. So the more money you get, and again, I'm stating the obvious, but sometimes it's worth doing. Something that might have said is a couple of years for a strategic plan, we can pull in and we can start executing. It's much, much faster. And I think that's super exciting. And it allows Nicole to go focus on that, her business, which we all benefit from, versus trying to fundraise. So
yeah, thank you.
A plea to go tell people so we can close this and get on with the work.
Yeah, and I mentioned this in one of the last updates that I'm going through this venture builder program that Vidya and Silvia and their partner Allison have created. It's a 12-week program. The first 6 weeks is all about discovery, you know, your product market fit, your sales strategy, finance, like what are all the gaps, you know, so we're doing a really deep dive, figuring out what are my gaps as a founder, because, you know, I'm almost perfect, but not quite. And then what are the gaps for the business, and, you know, really getting familiar with what all of that is. And then the second half, the next 6 weeks after that is all about implementation. So we're probably going to want to close this out around the time that we're doing the implementation phase, so that I can hire that marketing person and hire that director of operations. And, you know, my dream is to spend all my time with you, ladies and gentlemen. I really would love someday to be, you know, the ambassador for Sash and the designer and creator and, you know, the community organizer, and have, you know, this really well-oiled machine that's just pumping out bags and got distribution. And, you know, so that's the big vision. And we're excited to kind of get rolling on it as soon as we close this out. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Laurel, did you want to have another question, or was that your hand raised from before?
Yeah, okay, once I'd invested, it felt like I was getting a zillion emails from WeFunder about all these other things, products. And it's like the same with Indiegogo, and it's the same with all those others, where it just like took myself off their list. I said, unsubscribe. This is, and I don't know if I said it was spam, but it was starting to be like, it's spam. But now it seems like, well, I don't have a piece of paper yet. Even if I have the piece of paper, again, if something happens, how will other, like, am I shooting myself in the foot by turning off the spam as an investor? At what level am I gonna not be informed because I did that?
Those are great questions. I'll let Nicole answer for Sash, but I'm just letting you know that typically entrepreneurs are always connecting with their investors. Even, I mean, I've worked with a couple of entrepreneurs that work with WeFunder and other equity crowdfunding campaigns, and they usually get your emails and they are putting you on their investor list, right? So, and WeFunder does a really great job of connecting everybody, but just kind of keeping your, keeping it at ease that Nicole is like the queen of connections and communication. So I'll have her kind of answer that question on her end, but entrepreneurs should be talking to investors, individually or as a cohort.
So I can turn off WeFunder and just hear from Nicole and it'll be fine, right?
Yes. Before you got to the part where you said you took yourself off, I was about to say, just unsubscribe and that'll all go away. But yeah, so you will be able to still get communication from us on WeFunder, because I'm sending out notices that I specifically like click a little button and say whether I want that to go into all of my investors' inbox, and then it will. And then additionally, I have on my end, I have this whole dashboard where I can see everybody who's pledged to invest, and I can see what stage of the investment you're in. So whether you just said like, oh, I'm going to invest, but you haven't actually like signed the contract or done any of the paperwork. And then I'm working with my account manager at WeFunder to go through all those people that have said they want to invest, but they haven't taken the next steps to do individual outreach and kind of walk people over the line, because, some people aren't checking their emails, or they forgot about it, or they don't know what they're doing, all kinds of reasons that, there is some support that we are providing. So we're not going to let you slip between the cracks. We got you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think, we're rounding up to 6 o'clock, so we should wrap up. And before we go, Silvia, I want to thank you so much for coming. I want to acknowledge you for all the work that you do for female entrepreneurs. You are such a gift. You're such a gift. You could be doing anything you want in the entire world. You could run a country. You could have your money and go live on an island. You could just, you could be with your kids more. You could like do whatever you wanted, and you choose to put your time, your money, your effort, everything you have, your resources, your heart into entrepreneurs. And it like makes me want to cry. I love you so much.
Likewise.
Yes. Thank you for coming. Vidya, thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Liz,
Brian.
thank you. Everybody. Yay.
Thank you. And again, like also you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's my mode of awesomeness. I'm always on LinkedIn, not as much as my email. So reach out to me. I'm an open book. Ask me questions. I'm, the advocate for Nicole, but also if you have WeFunder questions as well, because it is a new platform for you, right? So walk alongside us, right? And we're here to help. So just connect with me on LinkedIn, Silvia Mah, and my middle name is Armitano, so it's easier to look up sometimes. So it was a pleasure to spend time with all of you this evening or wherever you are. And thank you, Nicole, for inviting me and including me.
Thank you for coming. You're the best. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Facebook and WeFunder and newsletter and all the places.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.